All right. Yeah. Okay, let's get this link. Thank you for your patience with having a little bit of technical difficulties. So, this is the restarted. Feel free to skip ahead to when we actually get started, but this is going to take a couple minutes. I'm resharing this link to people who are rejoining this video. There is Sleepy Rod. Blink once if you can hear me. Snap twice if you can see me. There's Mike Newland, the MVP of YouTube commenters. So, note to self: if you ever use StreamYard, make sure you find the little add to stage button. Otherwise, nothing will ever happen. Now, I kind of want to I'm going to take one moment here, see if I can find the new link to this video because I want to repost it in the Anthony Venture Discord. And I am in, there's no like share button. Why do people pay so much for StreamYard? There's no like obvious place to just click and say, hey, here's the link. Oh, here it is, lower right. Man, could they have made that any smaller? All right. Copy. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Oh, no. It's the bum link. It's a StreamYard. It's a StreamYard referral link. Come on, man. Okay. Share your referral. I didn't even. This is hilarious. Oh man, money well spent. Yeah, sorry, we're not going to talk about credit cards. This is going to be a really poor stand-up comedy routine about live stream, not showing me how to share my link for this live stream. There doesn't seem to be anywhere to do it. Settings. Nope. Hope y'all are enjoying yourselves. Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to go out of this and into YouTube. We'll be right back. Okay, almost. Yeah. Oh no, there's no thumbnail. Oh man. Nuts. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your patience. That's crazy. It's just it's a still shot of my living room. That's hilarious. All right. Yep. I'm gonna yeah, you know. Okay. Thumbnail schmumnail, right? Okay. Hey y'all, welcome to the live stream. So you've seen the complexity go up, and we have to expect a higher amount of value to come out on the other end. And if it's not, then my argument is let's put that time into a larger strategy. You know, like what's the optimum that we're looking for here? And optimum doesn't mean, again, it doesn't mean like the highest possible value. It means using our time most effectively to get the best return in value on that time. If you're like me and you value time at least as heavily as money, which, in my opinion, we should. And so I just think there's no, there's no like obvious answer here, right? Because I just think it's something that I just, I wanted to see what the discussion could come from this. Like, like I'm kind of looking at Anthony Venture, and he seems pretty determined to do like the low annual fee version, and see how much he can earn. Now there is a bit of a conundrum here though, right? Because generally the highest sign-up bonuses seem to be with the most complex and expensive annual fee cards. Case in point, the American Express Platinum and especially the Business Platinum. So, but if you're just sub chasing, then maybe we don't need to worry as much. But I'm looking to build out my core setup a little bit more, and I don't really need too many more cards though. So yeah, I guess the question is how to like focus more on the redemption side of things. And that's kind of my biggest constraint right now is like I'm actually speaking of time, like I'm kind of running out of flexibility to travel more than I already am. So that's the question for all y'all. Like what's the solution there if we can't travel more often? Like travel more luxuriously, like spend more points on a given trip if we're earning a lot. Now that said, or like how many complicated questions? Maybe that's a better way to phrase it. How many complicated cards do we want? A Caterpillar rep, thanks for dropping by. Yeah, so the question is, let's start with that, something a little bit simpler. How many premium travel cards does it make sense for you right now to have in your setup? And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure a certain number of those, if you're like me, are still in year one. So we can't really, we can't cancel it or downgrade, at least with the Amex cards. We know we can't until we hit that 1 year mark. But sort of, technicalities aside, that's kind of the question I'm asking right now. Because now it's like, it's not just, oh, what are my total annual fees? That's where all the discussion's going. We're putting this like this laser like focus on, look at this, the the Amex annual fee, the platinum is $200 higher, and is it worth it? And I think the larger question is, goes beyond, is it worth it? Because in a vacuum, like, yes, I think for most of us in this hobby, like it is worth it. But maybe the deeper question is it the right fit? Just because I would argue, just because something's worth it on paper doesn't mean that it actually is necessarily the best thing for our setup. So this should be the question that we're asking when we look at year two, whether we're going to keep a certain card. And that's a tough one, yeah, because like kind of where I'm at is I still have a long way to go with redemptions for both flights and hotels, like learning how to play the game well. And it's just kind of a funny thing with YouTube that the redemption videos, they don't do as well. They don't get as much viewership. But I think if you're like me, you get to a point where it's like, wow, it's easier to accumulate points than it is to use them well. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just kind of sitting with that right now. I don't have a good answer for that yet, but that's the question I wanted to ask, and was sort of the idea of this live stream. It's like, are we asking the right questions, at least in the YouTube space? Because it is kind of tricky. It's hard to talk about redemptions and get as many views as a review of the latest credit card refresh. So Yuri said Spencer Johnson talked to Anthony over gelato in Rome, or talked him into a low annual fee setup. Nice. Mike says the points are there to be used, and how anyone spends their points depends on their goals. AV is only spending on cards. Oh, Venture. Anthony Venture is only spending on cards that rewards for his next trip. Yeah. Well, that is one of my goals right now. I am, I have a trip next spring to Taipei, Taiwan, and so that's a good way for me to use some of these new FHR credits. I have both the Plat and Biz Plat. Both of those have refreshed, and I've got to, I used one of them, but I've got another one, and it's kind of this thing with FHR that you can't stack them consecutive nights. So trying to find another. There's some good FHR options there around the $300-$400 range, which is what you want to see for FHR. There's only one, the Edit Hotel, and it's booked out. It's booked up that whole time that I'll be there. So I don't know if it's because Sebi talked about it on one of his recent videos. I wouldn't be surprised. Speaking of redemption strategy, the biggest news this week that I saw was the adding of Japan Airlines to the Capital One transfer partners. And I guess my question is, what is our likelihood that we're going to see as good of a transfer bonus as we do right now? Because the disappointing thing is that the normal transfer ratio, I forget exactly what it is it like 1.5 to 1? But with the transfer bonus right now, it's effectively close enough to 1 to 1. But here's the thing, Japan Airlines has a 36-month hard expiration policy. Now, I feel reasonably confident that I want to go back to Japan in the next 3 years, like definitely. I feel somewhat less confident that both me and my player two are going to be able to go together without getting too much into why. And so, I have the chance to make a kind of a slightly reckless gamble here of transferring however many, like for example, the most saver level award for Japan Airlines right now is 55,000 miles. And the more common is 80. So if I wanted to make sure that the two of us could find time to go, I would transfer in 160,000. And actually, I don't even have that many C1 miles. I just don't. How many do I have? I think I've got about 110. So like I could do that. I could do that and then hope that I find a 255s. But if I don't, I don't know, maybe we could do business one way and economy the other way, or if I go solo again, maybe I just get it at the 80K rate. So that's that's the kind of thing. Yeah, I wish there was an easier answer there. No one has a crystal ball on that, but I think it's because it's the first, like look at Built. Built is having fewer and fewer transfer bonuses, and I know that Built is very different from Capital One, but the best transfer bonuses with Built are almost always when they first announce the partnership. So if Capital One is the same, maybe we won't see one for a while. Most likely, I'm probably going to end up waiting. I don't know if I could, in good conscience, do it now. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. But I'm curious if anyone else has had that had that idea. So here's Mike saying that he found 4 biz tickets on JAL in late June to Haneda for $75K through Alaska. Wow, that's fantastic. I didn't know that. That's all on one flight? I didn't even know they released that much inventory in J. Huh. I wonder if that's because like June is June like pretty like low season due to like the hot humid summer there. I wonder. I don't know if there is really like a proper low season with 35 million visitors to Japan each year. So here's Caterpillar is saying he's spending $3,400 a year on cards. And I've been thinking about getting rid of his Venture X combo as he's not using it anymore. It's hard to get, so I'm not really sure what to do. Yeah, I feel like that's the hardest. The Venture X is the hardest to let go of. I think you got to really like retire from this hobby. And even if you're retiring or semi-retiring, I remember, what was it, Yuri, you were talking about it in a comment, one of my other videos, that your exit strategy is a Capital One Duo. So no, I don't recommend, especially if they don't raise the annual fee. If they raise the annual fee, then yeah, then you got to really look at it. But as it stands right now, it's just one travel portal credit. It's so easy to use, like when I first got started doing this, I made a skeptical video about Capital One because I was saying that it's harder to get the value as a beginner with Capital One miles than it is with Chase points or Amex points. Now I wouldn't say that's the case for Amex points, because I feel like I have not been seeing quite as many transfer bonuses with Amex. And now JAL is a unique partner to Capital One, so that makes things a little bit more interesting. I would argue that it's actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's probably easier to get Amex points than Capital One points. I don't know why I've been valuing them less. Well, I mean, I do. There's just not quite as many partners, but they don't have the business platinum. I really like the 1.5 cents per point that you can get with your chosen airline. So that's a great way to use your MR points for economy domestic travel, especially now that the Sapphire Reserve trashed their use case for that. I mean, for me, that's not an issue because I'm using UR points for Hyatt. So now I think, that it's harder to churn Capital One cards. Now there is offers. There is, I know a lot of people are excited about Capital One offers. I've only kind of dipped my toe in that space. But, I do feel really partial to Rakuten. I feel like they're a little bit more on it as far as actually getting orders to track and following up with you when they don't. So that is kind of my one hesitation. But, I'm curious who else uses C1 offers. Mike's reminding that within 2 weeks, they release inventory that JAL releases some partner business class inventory within 14 days. That's good to know. I'm curious did you have economy booked, or are you just do you have that much flexibility in your schedule? Because that's what I would wonder. Like I'd kind of like to do that and see if I can snag some ANA, because I know it's the same thing, maybe even more so with the ANA, right? Carlos, welcome. Thank you. Yeah, he has the CSR and Plat. The annual fee for the Plat is in January, so I'm not sure I want to spend $895. I don't blame you. I haven't decided if I'm going to yet. I'm going to have the grandfathered annual fee for a year. Yeah. Ooh. All right. Yeah, I think that I think right now I'm going to make the argument that we should have like one one premium general card, you know. I think it's okay to have some co-brandeds in the mix because those are more like specialty tools, you know. The Hilton Aspire card is a specialty tool, just like the Delta Reserve is, or the Atmos Summit card, or the American Airlines Executive Platinum card. So there's a lot of high-end cards out there. Some of them have some credits to manage. The Delta ones are kind of annoying for that. That's why I only have the Delta Gold right now. But I'm also not flying them that much lately. There's not that many good routings out of SFO. But yeah, I would make the argument. I mean, if the choices were between, let's say, City Strata Elite, Chase Sapphire Reserve, American Express Platinum. I don't know if I would include Venture X. I feel like Venture X is kind of holding it down in a different category. And, you know, it's the popular opinion right now, especially with this refresh of the Amex Plat, that it's, you know, been recrowned the king of premium cards. But, you know, it's funny because I had my video on the Venture X recently. I used that phrase. I said it's the king, but it's a different kind. It's a different kingdom, right? It's the king of, I don't know, simple luxury travel cards, not necessarily high end travel cards. Like, you know, I think you could really, as Luke has talked about, like you could really kill this game with just the C1 Duo. I mean, you probably could with the Wells Fargo setup as well, but that's much more advanced. I think you don't need to, like, I don't know why anyone would do that other than just as like a weird experiment, you know, like, because if simplicity is what you really want, I don't see how you can beat the Capital One Duo, because it's the least amount of work to make up for that annual fee. Between that and Capital One offers, you still have a good way to generate a lot of points. Maybe not quite as lucrative as Amex, because I still think, I don't know, for me, I'm still partial to Rakuten and earning membership rewards that way. And just the subs are crazy, you know, like there's always another sub for Amex MR points. So, but there's a lot more complexity. So yeah, I think if you just want something that's going to earn you enough points to take the trips that you want to take, and you're at least at like an intermediate level. I think that's kind of like the weird catch with the Venture X, you know, like it's the simplest, but it's not necessarily the most beginner friendly. I still think Chase takes the crown there, but um, you know, you pay for that. If you know what I mean, like Capital One gives you the privilege, I think, of paying less annual fee and having a simpler setup, but you've got to put a little bit more work into getting the value, especially for domestic travel. That's the hardest part to get really worthwhile value from Capital One miles. Yuri says he emptied his Capital One points with the last Virgin Atlantic bonus, to get 4 round trip to London for 2026 spring break. Nice job. Nice job. I'm just glad you had that redemption in mind, because, you know, now I keep hearing, because I watch every frequent miler every Friday, and them and a lot of other people are talking about how much the all the surcharges and fees went up with Virgin Atlantic again, you know. So yeah, I still have like another 16,000 miles over there, points, whatever, and we'll see when I can use it again. I got a bunch of KLM. That's the most miles them, and then a close second is Avianca. So I've got a bunch of KLM miles because I was rebooking and didn't want to wait for my other one to refund. So now I'm got like 60,000 KLM miles and like 50,000 Avianca Life miles. And yeah, I want to try to use those first. So Mike, yeah, Mike had economy booked through Alaska and then canceled and rebooked in about an hour's time from them releasing the seats. Nice. So at least you can plan around that. I think that I don't know if I'd be willing to play chicken with that on the overnight leg. Like when I flew to Japan in February, at least to the West Coast, I had a daytime flight there, and it was great being in business class, but I would have been okay with economy. Whereas coming back, yeah, I would have been a mess. So I don't know if I'd be willing to play chicken with that without having at least some kind of lie flat seat lined up if it was for an overnight for going overseas like that. Yuri says that he agrees one premium card, and if one uses a major airline or a hotel card to hold the premium card for status or other benefits. His Delta Platinum card companion certificate hit on his older Delta Gold anniversary. Yeah, Mike says last November he did a Cap One offer for the agent, and it was 30x bought for, or sorry, for tire agent. It was 30x for tires for his new car. Almost got 16,000 miles and $600 to spend. Damn. Nice job. Wow. Stellar. Hey, all right, I got to hijack this for a moment. So, anyway, I'm in the market for a car, and this EV credit is expiring at the end of the month. We literally have 2 more days, and I was just I'm starting from scratch, and I was googling like what are the cheapest EV cars. But the problem is that tax rebate only applies to cars that were assembled here. So, for example, the 2 first that came up were the Nissan Leaf and the Hyundai Kona. But unfortunately, both of those are assembled overseas and do not qualify for that rebate. So I wonder what the third one in line would be. But yeah, I don't know. I like how the EVs are a little bit more responsive on the throttle. Like I don't know, like how that's. I don't know if this is more with modern cars. I was just renting like a Volkswagen Jetta and had great pickup, but the problem is it's always like a full second of lag from when you push the gas to when you actually accelerate. I had a Subaru Forester before this, and it was like that the same way. So I feel like the EVs are a little bit more responsive off the throttle, and I don't know. So if anyone knows about that, has a suggestion for an relatively inexpensive new EV that qualifies for this $7,500 tax credit that's expiring, please add that to the chat. That would be good to know. Yuri's talking about a trip to the best coast, right on Represent, with his P2 to use the companion pass and the cards for next summer. Hope to the kids at home. Caterpillar's asking if I could get a Maverick. Small truck, but harder to get. Interesting. I haven't heard of that. All right. Yeah. Back on topic. So I don't know. So would any of you guys, would you speculate on some C1 miles to Jaw, or you feel too confident in doing these close-in bookings? Certainly feels like the better. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a risky play when, yeah, I mean, there's still good enough chance to find something both with AA miles, Alaska miles, and maybe with Air Canada or Virgin Points or even United miles if you have to. Do Toyotas get the credit? Yeah, I don't know. I like the Toyotas. Yuri, he drives the Outback, but Tesla has Models 3 and Y on the lot. I really like the Kias and the Hyundais. Those have been my favorite that I've driven so far. I often get them with, that's the nice thing about having the Avis President Circle. So a lot of places where, and it seems like fewer people want the EVs, so it's like it's easier to get an upgrade on EVs because people are kind of scared of them. I don't know. But I found that in Denver, I found that in Portland. So that's allowed me to get familiar with a lot of newer EVs. All right. I'm going to take a quick water and bio break. I will be back in 60 seconds. Please entertain yourselves. Yo, yo, yo. Okay. I'm going to see. Oh, Mike heard lots of problems with Hyundai. Interesting. Just in general, not just with EVs. That's good to know. I was kind of looking at their Kona, the Hyundai Kona, but that one unfortunately is assembled abroad and does not qualify for this tax rebate. I'm going to see if anyone from the Sledge Inc. team Credit Hub Discord server. Let's see if anyone over there is available. I'm going to post this link there. Cool, cool, cool. How do you like the Outback? I feel like if I were to get another Subaru, I might get the Crosstrek. Seems like it'd be a little bit better for the city, like just, I don't know, a little bit smaller. I really liked the BMW i3, but I think that's been discontinued. And I think the Chevy Bolt has also been discontinued. That was a good, like, small car. They're all these like crossover SUVs, which they're cool. I don't know. It'd be cool to have something just a little bit shorter for high intensity urban parallel parking. So yeah, anyone here been to Taipei? I know I was kind of hoping to stop by Japan on the way, but it looks like it's going to be a little trickier to do that than I thought. I'll just have to try doing that another time. I was watching Dugraz's live stream, and he did an analysis of the edit, and he was seeing some good results. He was seeing, I think he looked at about 8 different properties, and they were all domestic. but he found that Edit was not overpriced like 80% of the time. So that was cool to see. Um, and yeah, I mean, is the 2-night minimum that big of a deal? I guess what I wonder is, do you get the $100? So here's a Chase Edit question. Do you get the $100 on property credit for both nights, or is it like Amex where you use their FHR, and if you book for 2 nights, you only get it the first night, right? I'm assuming it's that. Which, it's not the end of the world. I think if you can find a price that is at least not too much more than the base price, then it could be fine. I guess it really just depends on the selection. Um, and yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Like, why would you use it beyond just getting the credit out of it? So it's like, I kind of look at it. It's a little bit like having a free night certificate, I suppose. Only it's for something that you're paying cash for. Sebi just came out. So Mike says Sebi came out with a video about Capital One transfer partners. That's cool. Here's a question from here's a response on Hyundai. They had problems in with a secondhand Elantra. Yeah, I know their quality control was definitely not as good for a long time, but I wonder if it's gotten better. I don't know. I keep hearing that it's better, but maybe that's marketing. So Mike, yeah, I watch all of Sebi's things too. Filmo, thanks for dropping by. The best part about the edit is saying edit credit. Yeah. Kind of rolls off the tongue. I just feel like that would be a better brand name for, like, I don't know, video editing software or something. Filma, what do you think about Jal? This new adding Jal as a transfer partner to Capital One. Is it worth speculating on that? Or are you bullish enough on the ability to keep being able to book them through AA in Alaska? I mean, I guess for me, it's like the reason I'm considering it is like I'm pretty flush with Amex points, and I think the next ecosystem I'm going to work on after I've gotten some more Chase cards and I'm under 524 is Citibank. I do want to have build up some thank you points because you get some extra hotel options. You have Eva Air, and yeah, and I just think their cards have better multipliers. And I'm kind of lukewarm on the Strata Elite, but I feel like you could always get that for the sub and then downgrade to the Strata Premier, and then you could have a duo with a custom cash. You could even go all out, I suppose, and get the trio. Use a double cash. Yeah, but so that was the whole thought is like, well, I can't think of any transfer partners for Capital One other than Japan Airlines that is unique to that Amex doesn't have, at least that I would be interested in. So that's the only reason I would do that, is like it would be a gamble, I mean, for me, the biggest thing is you have the 360-day availability. So you have a higher chance of getting that first released inventory, which for me as a planner, I think I'm a little bit more excited about that than doing what Mike is doing, where he's booking economy and then waiting to snag something close in. I don't know, like, what's the bigger gamble there? I mean, yeah, you could lose some points, but how much is it worth it to get stuck in an overnight where you get zero sleep on a 14-hour flight? Speaking of Japan, has anyone looked at Osaka? I don't know why we never see anyone, because I think it was Thrifty Traveler, one of their episodes. They said, make sure you include Osaka in your searches, because we see stuff there sometimes. Any of the specific dates I've looked, I've never seen any availability at all from any of the West Coast airports. I've looked at all the airports, and I've for at least for the dates I've looked at, I've never seen a single option, at least using seats.aero. But then what about Cathay? I feel like that's the one program that I know the least about, Cathay Pacific, and partly because that doesn't show up in any of the search tools, right? You have to manually search on their website. Has anyone booked anything with Cathay Pacific? So Mike's saying, don't get me wrong, it felt risky, but when it all finished up, I didn't lose any points. Yeah, no, I guess my question is, like, so were you willing to take that economy trip? Like, you were willing to risk not getting the business class, and were in a position that you felt that the four of you would have been okay with economy. Because that would be the thing for me. I'd really have to look at whether or not me, and especially me with going with a player too, who doesn't like to fly, as much as I do. And so, yeah, I mean, I might gamble on like premium economy, but even then, like, I don't know. I need lie flat to seat. I mean, maybe there's some gizmo that, like, you can attach something to the seat that'll hold your head back or whatever. I don't know, some one of these neck things. I'm always seeing these ads, different ads for those. I don't know. I feel like they're probably all gimmicks. Like, I really, yeah, need that lie flat. I mean, you could fly. What is it, Zip Air? It's like $1,200, something like that, or is it 1,400? I don't know. Like, it's kind of a no frills, lie flat. It's business class without being business class. Economy level service with having a business class type seat. It's probably a safer bet than transferring all of my Capital One miles to JAL and hoping I get to use it, but I don't know. So Mike's saying, yeah, JAL has one of the best economy products. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Sleepy Rod says, even though City is 1 to 4, I preferred, and Capital is 1 to 2, building up Capital One miles is easier than City points, regardless if you had 5 custom caches, which is a lot more than the 1 that I have. Capital One offers have been strong lately. Filmo can't even do 3 hours in economy. It's just too damn sexy. I'm a little too slow for that joke. I just ruined your punchline, man. Not going to find a better, Mike says, a better economy than JAL, except for maybe Emirates. Have you gone to Southeast Asia? Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Singapore, Philippines. Wondering what miles I should build up for that. And yeah, again, Cathay. If anyone has any experience using Cathay Pacific, Asia miles, because I feel like a lot of their use is for they're a One World partner, right? So maybe one way of booking partner awards. Rod's going to Lisbon in November. Congratulations. Any advice? Yeah, I mean, just like hanging out in Lisbon. You can't go wrong. It's all amazing. Yeah, like it depends on what you're looking to do. I just like walking everywhere. It's a great city for that. Amazing parks. And Albufeira is the name of like the oldest neighborhood, and you can see people doing like the traditional folk singing on the patios. Yuri's, so how am I going to earn city thank you points? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to apply for probably the Strata Elite, somewhat against my better judgment. Probably next year, once I've gotten what chase cards I want to get and I'm willing to go above 524 again. Oh, Lisbon. Yeah. Oh, one more thing on Lisbon. Get out of the city. Do like 1 or 2 day trips, depending on how long you're going to be there. Cascais is, and it's spelled Cascais, is like a half-hour train ride. It's like a beach town. Super cool. There's a lighthouse way out on the coast, and there's like a scenic train that I actually didn't get to take because I was too late. It doesn't run all day long, but I really wanted to. End up taking a bus to get out there. But there's a scenic like tourist train that goes all the way to the coast. Um, Cabo da Roca. Roca is spelled Roca, so it's the westernmost point of continental Europe, and it's super beautiful, dramatic, and like windy. When I was there, it was like crazy windy. It felt kind of like the West Coast. If you've been to some of the like rocky cliffs of the West Coast, especially like in the northern half of the US, like in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California, has that kind of vibe. But that train would be amazing. I highly recommend that. Yeah, talk to Yuri. Yuri just went there. I'm going to Porto pretty soon, just for a few days. I'm tacking it on to a UK trip. So went there in 2017, and looking forward to go back. I love Portugal. I finally got your joke film. I don't know why I was like overthinking that. Can't even do 3 hours. I think it was just talking about yourself in first person that kind of like it just went over my head. But yeah, he's too sexy for economy. What do you do for domestic travel though? Tell me you're not burning your points. So you must be. Are you okay with paying cash fares for first class, or do you have some other hacks? Like you just buy it up front? Do you get in-app upgrades? Trying to get status upgrades? How are you doing that? Is anyone going to miss this? I never used it, but there's this other podcast channel I was watching. What are they called? M&M Video or M&M Travel, whatever they're called. They were making a bigger deal about this nerf on the Business Platinum, the ability to book business and first class cash fares with the 35% rebate. Because now they're limiting that to your chosen airline. So it sounded like there was maybe some niche cases, especially for like when you're traveling abroad. Some of the like lesser known airlines, it was maybe where airfare is cheaper, like in South Asia, just in Asia in general. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been buying too many first class fares. I have occasionally bought a Delta. Like it seems like sometimes Delta first class, at least in points or miles, is reasonably priced. I feel like I see that with AA sometimes. United, I've never seen that. The United prices on first class are always insanely expensive. I don't know about Alaska. All right, so Yuri he flew TAP Air Portugal with Avianca miles. Nice. That's great. I flew them once economy. I had a pretty good experience. Use the Chase portal for an awesome apartment right in the Baisha district. All the big chain hotels are away from the center. Mike Newland, he's using cash on the Delta Companion Pass. Is that for the? I'm assuming you're talking about just paying for first class. I'm at the point now where, yeah, my P2 now we've traveled a lot, and she's not as used to it as I am, and I think she gets a little bit more burned out on air travel and airports than I do, and so I kind of feel like maybe I should just bite the bullet and splurge on always trying to get us first class when I can. That's not always really feasible if we're like limited on having to go on a certain date, because if there's a certain date and especially a certain time that we have to fly, uh, yeah, I don't know. Um, like I would almost rather put that towards having a fancy hotel. It kind of depends on how long the flight is, but yeah, I think for longer flights, the value and the importance of paying more to get first class definitely increases. And I just wonder if that would like help our relationship, like that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. It's like, okay, I'm investing in this hobby, I'm investing in my travel experiences, and I've always cared about spending money wisely, and it's hard to stomach the price for first class so many times. But and that's part of why I've been working on status, is because I've been able to do it with everyday shopping and get a reasonable number of upgrades. Rod's in San Jose. Nice. How does the San Jose airport treat you? Do you find as many Alaska flights out of San Jose as SFO? I thought about maybe relocating someday up to Sonoma County just because it's a little cheaper up there. They do have this. They have the Santa Rosa Airport, and I think only American and Alaska serve that airport. But man, anytime I've priced out, it's so much more expensive flying out of there. Well, we did get started a little bit late today, but I think we're gonna try to limit the stream to 1 hour. So we'll give this another like 7 minutes or so. Notice fewer live streams this weekend. It seems like everyone got their lives out of the way with all the news last week with the platinum refresh, huh? So yeah, kind of bring it back. I think it's 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 funny because I'm just talking about getting the City Strata Elite card, and yeah, I mean it's year one. I think for those of us who are still in like accumulation phase, uh, I'm I'm willing to, for at least the near future, to keep managing more premium travel cards than I otherwise would want to have. just because I'm finishing my setup build out. Like I still have a few more hotel cards I want to get, a couple more chase cards, and I want to be able to earn city thank you points. So, we'll see. Uh, I don't think the business platinum is worth keeping now. I think it could have been with the old annual fee. I don't know. I mean, then again, you do get that same $600. I don't know if I would have kept it anyway. I don't think the business platinum is, unless you really, really want to keep that 1.5x, that 35% rebate. I do use that a fair amount for Flying United. Is a really good way to use my MR points, because I'm happy getting right now with the quantity I have, getting 1.5 cent per point. And I can't really reliably do that yet for how much domestic travel I'm doing with the other ecosystems. Rod says there's the usual good amount of Alaska flights out of San Jose. Thinking of doing the status challenge if still open for Alaska. I have to fly various segments to San Diego. That's interesting. Yeah, keep in mind, the one thing I know about the Alaska Status Challenge is that it's once per account per lifetime. So, yeah, make sure that you know that this is the best time to cash that in. But I'm certainly going to be aiming for second tier of Alaska status next year. Third is an outside chance. Third level of Alaska status would be more valuable for me than third level of American Airlines status. I don't know if I'm going to fly enough to be able to hit that, even with all the other ways of earning status points on Alaska for next year. But I like their program. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, AA does have advantages. There's certain advantages to the program. And just their software is better. It's just better, in my opinion. Just, it's a little bit more transparent what you're earning loyalty points on. The Alaska still doesn't give you in your history. It doesn't show you your status point earn, which is kind of frustrating, because it's hard to verify how many status points you're getting. So Yuri's talking about there's the buzz on the possible Marriott business card refreshes. He's a Hyatt fanboy like me, but what is Marriott strategy, status, and experience? Current status is gold, which I have just from the Platt card. I'm close to being able to apply for the Brilliant. I actually just tried because I know that there's an elevated sub on the Brilliant that's about to expire. But yeah, I got a different kind of pop up from Amex saying that it's the Marriott rules of having another chase card. So the Boundless card, I earned the sub on that just under 24 months ago. So I got to wait until that 24-month point. And so I think that's in October. I'm not like excited about that card, but I think that I want to try it. I think it'll be a good companion to the Ritz card, which I do want to try out. And so I'm waiting to upgrade my Chase Bonvoy Boundless card to the Ritz Carlton card once I've gotten the Brilliant card. The problem is I don't even know if I'll still be in pop-up jail once I'm eligible, but presuming that I get it, then I would do that. Then I would upgrade the Ritz, and now I've got the 285K certs, and that would be better. I haven't used Marriott that much. I've really only used them in the last couple of years to use my 35K certs. And some of the 50Ks I earned, I think 3 50K certs used those up last year from the sign-up bonus from the Brilliant, not from the Boundless card. So if I can get the Brilliant, then after that, or even if I don't get the Brilliant, yeah, I think I will try to get an Amex business card. But here's the thing, though. One of the rumored changes is that they're going to take away the 35K cert from, and that would make that card completely useless. Why would you spend an annual fee on a Marriott card that doesn't give you a free night certificate? I don't see any. The only real reason you would really need to have that is if you're trying to aim for a higher status, because you can stack those 15 EQNs. I don't really love their program, and their points are not worth accumulating. So yeah, it's hard for me to be too enthusiastic about Marriott, but it's one of these things where there's so many of them out there that I feel like if you're traveling often enough, it probably makes sense to have a couple of those 85K certs available to use each year, because they probably would be easy to use. Next year I am going to have 2 Hilton Aspires, and I don't know, if Hilton keeps nerfing their points program, and especially if they start capping their free night certificates, then I don't know, I might start actually preferring Marriott over Hilton. But as it stands, I feel like I'm having better luck with mid-range properties with IHG. And so my next thing is I want to get a second IHG card so I can have the 2 40K annual certs. And yeah, that's not going to get you a luxury hotel, but I feel like IHG seems like it's a pretty good complement for Hyatt. And it seems maybe like you don't need Hilton, because I feel like most places where I see a Hilton, I see an IHG that's at least as good of a value. I don't know. So maybe Marriott, Marriott for me is always going to be supplemental, but the question is, right now it's number 4 on my list, but pretty soon it might be number 3 ahead of Hilton. So we'll see. Yuri says the Brilliant Ritz move. He hopes to get the Ritz in February to get everybody and mother-in-law into the lounge after the Venture X nerf. Yeah. Sounds like a good strategy. Right on. Well, I think we'll call it a Sunday. Appreciate everyone. Thanks, Yuri, Sleepy Rod, Mike Newland, Filmo, Caterpillar, Carlos. You could have been anywhere else on this Sunday evening, but you chose to hang out here, so I really appreciate that. Thank you for your contributions. Thanks for contributing to this discussion and making this hobby what it is. It's more than just having cool experiences. It's also like having a supportive community, and yeah, it's fun, it's rewarding, and it opens our horizons to things that otherwise wouldn't be possible for most of us, right? So hope you're all good. Let's all take care of each other. Ciao for now.